This is the bracelet that we're going to make using 2 colors of super duos and pearls. Here's another example using 1 color of super duos and pearls. And another one. Here's one made with round crystals and 2 colors of super duos. And another one made with bicone crystals and 2 colors of super duos. So let's talk about the materials that we're going to need. For this bracelet, you're going to need 6mm round beads in either 1 color or 2 colors. I have 14 of them here, and that will make about a 6.5-inch bracelet, 7 with the clasp. You're also going to need super duos in 1 or 2 colors. I have 2 here. You're also going to need 11/0 Toho seed beads and 15/0 seed beads, as well as 2 6 or 8 seed beads to connect the clasp with jump rings. So let's get started. Because I'm working with 15/0 seed beads, which are really tiny, I'm using a size 12 needle, a really small beading needle, with 6-pound fire line. And I'm going to start by threading on the first color of super duo, a 15, second color super duo, 15, first color super duo, and a 15. And I'll string that on. Then I'll go back up through all those beads to form a loop. And here's where I can tie a knot. So I've made my knot right here. I'm going to continue through the next super duo. Then I'll add 2 11/0 seed beads and go down through the other hole of that super duo. Next, I'm going to put on a 15/0, a 6mm bead, and a 15/0, and I'm going to put it on the color number 1, which is the opposite of color number 1 for the super duos. String that on. Then I want to go up through only the 6mm bead. Pull that tight, and then I want to go down through this top 15/0 seed bead. And what that does is it shifts this seed bead to go sideways, which is what we need for the next step. I add a super duo in the first color and 2 11/0s, and I string that on. Then I want to go down through the other hole of that super duo. I'll want to hold this super duo, kind of pinch it in order to pull it tight. Then I add a 15 super duo in the first color, checking both holes, and 2 11-0s. String that on. And then I'll go down through the other hole of that super duo. Again, I'll put on a 15, super duo, checking both holes, and 2 11-0s. String that on. And go through the other hole of that super duo. And once I've pulled everything tight, you can kind of see this kind of flops around a little bit. But the next step is to go through the 15 at the other end of that 6mm bead. And when you pull that tight, it kind of falls into place to frame the 6mm bead. Next, I put on a super duo in the first color, checking both holes, and 2 11-0s. String that on. And I want to go down through the other hole of that super duo. Next, I put on a 15 seed bead, and if this is flipped around, you want this these two super duos to kind of be next to each other, and you want to go through the other tip of that super duo to kind of complete the frame around that bead. Now it's okay that these flop around a little bit, they'll get tied in later, but here we've framed our first 6mm bead. Next, we want to make another a Y here. So we've got the leg of this Y, and we want to make a kind of a third leg there. So we're going to add a 15, a second color super duo, checking both holes, and a 15. And we want to go through this super duo, through that 15 that we just put on, and the super duo. And when we pull that tight, we see we have the Y made here. We want to continue up through the 15, the next 15, and the next super duo. We add 2 11-0s and go down through the other hole. Next, we put on a 15, a 6mm bead, that's the opposite color, and 15. It's the opposite color of where my thread's coming out, and I'm going to string that on. I want to go up through the 6mm bead, and down through that 15 at the top, which pulls it sideways. Next, I put on a super duo, same color as this one, and 2 11-0s, and I string that on. Then I go down through the other hole. Kind of pinch the super duo to pull it tight. So now we want to make another Y off of this super duo. So we add 15-0, a super duo of this same color, 15-0, super duo of the opposite color, and a 15. And we string that on. We kind of flip this over because we want to go through all 3 super duos. So we want to go, starting with the side that has the 11 O's, we want to go through that super duo, the next 15, super duo, 15, and super duo, but not through that last 15, so everything but that last 15. And when we pull that tight, we've got our little Y. So I accidentally went through the wrong hole there. I'm going to go through, this is the hole I should be coming out of. Add 2 11 O's and go down through the tip. So we're kind of alternating, making a Y and then a drop, and then a Y and then a drop. So we just made our second Y here. We're ready for the next drop. Add a 15-0 6mm bead of the opposite color of the super duo that I'm coming out of, and another 15. I string that on. Go back up through the 6mm bead and down through the 15. Then I add a super duo of the same color above the bead here, checking both holes, and 2 11 O's. And I string that on. And I'll go down through the other hole of that super duo and kind of pinch it to pull it tight. Now I'm ready to make another Y here. So I'll add a 15, a super duo in the same color I'm coming out of, 15, opposite color, super duo, and a 15. And I'll string that on. Again, I want to go through all 3 super duos, so starting with this one, the next one, and the 15, and the next one. When I pull that tight, we've made our Y here. Add 2 11 O's and go through the other hole. So we've made our Y here. We're ready to make another drop. 15, 6mm bead, and a 15. String that on. Back up through the 6mm bead and down through the 15. And a super duo, checking both holes, same color as this one, and 2 11 O's. String that on and go down through the other hole. So this will twist around, but that's okay. It'll get tied in later. So you want to continue this pattern until you have your desired bracelet length, and you're just alternating colors of, you know, the drop and the Y, drop and the Y, and the drop, and so my next one will be a Y. So just continue that until you come to your desired length, and then I'll show you how to do the next row. Putting on my last 6mm bead. Up through the 6mm, down through the 15, and the super duo, and 2 11/0s. And down through the other hole. And here's where it changes to finish off the first row and start the second. We'll add a 15, a super duo, checking both holes of the same color, and 2 11/0s. And we'll string that on. And we want to go through the other hole of that super duo. Again, we'll put on a 15, super duo, checking both holes, and 2 11/0s, string that on, and go down through the other hole. And like the way we started, these are kind of flipping around and zigzagging, but when you go through the 15 bead that's at the end of that 6mm bead, it kind of flips it around to frame it. We'll continue with another super duo, checking both holes, same color, and 2 11/0s. String that on and go through the other hole of that super duo. Next, we add a 15, and we want to close the frame here. So if this is flipped around, you want to flip it back around so that this super duo is next to the end of where your thread is coming out here. So you can just go through this tip of this super duo to close the frame. Next, we want to complete this Y here, and we're going to want to use the same color as this super duo. So we'll add a 15, super duo, checking both holes, and a 15. And we want to go through this super duo, the 15 I just put on, and back through that same super duo. And when I tighten that, I see I have my Y formed. I want to continue up through the 15, the next 15, and super duo. Next, I add 2 11/0s, and I go through the other hole of this super duo, plus the 15 at the end of this 6mm bead. I want to add a super duo, same color as this one, and 2 11/0s. And I string that on and go through the other hole. I'll add a 15, and I want to close the frame here. So if this is flipped over like this, you want this other color super duo kind of close to where your thread's coming out here, so you can just go down through this hole and close the frame. Next, I want to complete this Y here. I'll add a 15, a super duo, and a 15, checking both holes of the super duo with the same color I'm coming out of here. And I want to go through this super duo, the next 15, and the next super duo. And that completes my Y. I want to continue up through the 15 and the super duo. Add 2 11-ohs and go through the tip of this super duo and the next 15 at on the edge of that 6mm bead. Next, I'll add a super duo, same color as this one, and 2 11-ohs, checking both holes and through the other hole of that super duo. Pull that tight. I'll add a 15 and close the frame by going down through this super duo. I'll complete the Y by adding a 15, a super duo, and a 15. Super duo should be the same color I'm coming out of. And I'll go through this super duo, the 15, and the next super duo. Continue up through the next 15 and super duo. Add 2 11-ohs and go down through this super duo and the tip, the 15 at the tip of that 6mm bead. So I'm just going to keep repeating that pattern till I'm at the other end of the bracelet. Finishing up here, adding 2 11-ohs, going through this tip and the 15 on the 6mm. After I've done that, I can just go through this super duo that's sticking out there to frame it. Then I add 2 11-ohs and go down through the other hole of that super duo and the next 15. Through the next super duo and 15. And through the next super duo. Now this last row, we're just going to be adding seed beads all around the edge. And I'm coming out of this super duo. I'm going to continue through these 2 11-ohs. I'll add 2 11-ohs and go through the next 2 11-ohs. Add 2 11-ohs and go through the next 2 11-ohs. Now I'm at the end. I want to add the large seed bead that the jump ring will go through. So I'll add an 11-oh, a 6 or 8 seed bead, and an 11-oh. And I want to string that on. And I want to go back through those 2 seed beads I went through before, plus the next 3 that I just put on. Now I'll loop that around And I want to go back through those 2 seed beads on the end. I'll add 2 11-ohs and go through the next 2 11-ohs. Add 2 11-ohs. And here I want to go through all 5 seed beads, the 2 11-ohs, the 15, and the next 2 11-ohs. So I start with the first 2 11-ohs through the 15, and through the next 2 11-ohs. I'm at a gap here, so I add 2 11-ohs, and I want to go through the next 5 seed beads. The 2 11-ohs, the 15, and the next 2 11-ohs. Add 2 11-ohs and go through the next 5 seed beads. 2 11-ohs, the 15, and the next 2 11-ohs. Basically want to continue that, adding 2 seed beads in each gap until I reach the other end, and we'll turn around and go down the other side. Now I'm at the other end. I keep repeating that. I add 2 11-ohs and go through the next 2 11-ohs. And now that we're at the other end, we want to add the large seed bead the same way we did on the other end. So we'll add an 11-oh, 6 or 8 seed bead, an 11-oh, string that on. And we want to go back through the 2 we went through before, plus the 3 we added on. And then back through those 2 seed beads. Add 2 11-ohs. Go through the next 2 seed beads, add 2 11-ohs, and go through the next 5 seed beads. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. And we continue along this side the same way we did on this side, just putting 2 seed beads, 2 11-oh seed beads in every gap. I'm putting my last 2 seed beads on, going through the next 3 seed beads. Now when I look at the other side, I can see I want to kind of stitch around to where my thread is coming out, which it looks like it's coming out of right there. and I'm right here coming out of this bead. So I kind of want to go all the way around and through this seed bead, this super duo, and that seed bead, kind of just to get around to where my thread started, so that's where I can tie a knot. So I'm going to flip it back over and continue around. Here's where I can cross over into the next super duo and seed bead. And when I kind of flip it over, put my thread through, I can now see that both of my threads are coming out of the same place. So this is a good place to tie a knot. Before I do that though, I'm going to take a look at my piece, and if any parts look a little wavy, I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit to kind of even out the spacing. So that looks pretty even now. Now I can tie a knot. So all I need to do is snip those ends and add the clasp. Okay, I've snipped the ends off, and so now I'm ready to add my clasp. I'm going to open the jump ring, feed it through the large seed bead, add the clasp, and close it. The other side just needs a jump ring. Open my jump ring, feed it through the large seed bead, and close it. And so now we have a working clasp. And that is our finished bracelet.